My record speaks for itself. I have been rated the fourth most bipartisan for a reason.
Disastrous town hall meeting held by MAGA Republican Congress member Mike Lawler from New York's 17th congressional district. A rude awakening for Lawler and for MAGA Republicans in general, especially Donald Trump, as Lawler has tried to present himself to New York's 17th and to the rest of the country as a moderate, as someone who brings the parties together, but everybody knows that Lawler is someone who aids and abets the MAGA agenda. He's someone who has talked about cutting Social Security and Medicaid. He is someone who basically allowed Donald Trump to attack Social Security offices. Donald Trump is reacting to that town hall and other town halls this weekend and weekends prior, where MAGA Republicans were getting brutally booed by the crowd.
Why are Republican representatives suddenly hiding from their own voters? Virginia Foxx admitted she doesn't hold town halls because she doesn't want to be yelled at. What are they so afraid of? In this video, I'll show you the moment Mike Lawler realized his carefully selected audience of constituents wasn't buying what he was selling, and he's not alone. GOP reps across the country are facing similar backlash. Is this the beginning of a Republican voter revolt or just a temporary tantrum? Let's look at the evidence
that Mike Lawler set for this town hall. It says attendees other than accredited members of the press must live in New York's 17th congressional district. Proof of residency is required. If you cannot provide proof of residency in New York 17th upon request, you'll be asked to leave the premises. So they put strict security protocols to ensure that nobody outside the district would show up. And at all of these town halls, these are people from the district. We're talking about independents, we're talking about Democrats, and we're talking about the non-MAGA Republicans who are livid at Donald Trump.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. You know how Trump loves to brag about his perfect rallies where everyone absolutely adores him? Well, reality is hitting his Republican pals like a cold shower at their town halls across America. These GOP representatives thought they had the perfect plan: carefully control who gets in the door by checking IDs and making sure only actual constituents could attend. No outside agitators allowed, just their own voters who elected them. Foolproof, right? Wrong. So very, very wrong.
Here's what Donald Trump posted after Lawler's town hall. Trump wrote, "The radical left Democrats are paying a fortune to have people infiltrate the town halls of Republican congressmen, women, and senators. These great patriot politicians should not treat them nicely, have them immediately ejected from the room. They are disruptors and troublemakers. You must allow your audience to know what you are up against, or else they will think they are Republicans and that there is dissension in the party. There is not. There is only love and unity. Republicans are happy with what is taking place in our country. We all love America! Exclamation point." And Donald Trump wrote that April 27th, 2025. It should be noted that Donald Trump's approval rating in the recent CNN poll is about 41%, and the recent Washington Post ABC Ipsos poll, 39%. In both of those polls, it is the lowest in modern presidential history, dating back, in fact, over 80 years. Trump has a lower approval rating than any president in modern times, and for the past 80 years. Independents in those polls, Donald Trump has an approval rating amongst that cohort of about 27 to 30%. They absolutely hate Donald Trump.
Take Congressman Mike Lawler from New York's 17th district. He tried to present himself as one of those reasonable Republicans. You know the type. They furrow their brow and look concerned about Trump's latest outrage while voting for his policies anyway. Lawler's town hall was supposed to be a controlled environment where he could manage the message. Instead, it turned into what observers called a complete disaster. His own constituents weren't buying his moderate act anymore, not when they could see how he supported Trump's agenda that was hurting them directly. The beauty of these town halls is that the strict protocols requiring proof of residency backfired spectacularly on Republicans. They can't blame outside agitators when it's literally their own voters turning against them. Lawler stood there visibly uncomfortable as his carefully crafted image crumbled in real time. Then there's Representative Mike Flood. Probably needed a change of pants after what happened at his economic policy presentation. There he was, mid-speech about trickle-down economics or whatever recycled Reagan-era fantasy they're pushing these days, when his own constituents started a full-on chant of "Tax the rich, tax the rich." Can you imagine the look on his face? This wasn't some liberal college campus. These were his voters in his district, who had apparently had enough of economic policies that only benefit the wealthiest Americans. Rich McCormick got an even ruder awakening when one of his constituents made a comparison that had to sting. They likened the situation to the January 6th insurrection. Ouch! Nothing like having your own voters compare you to the folks who stormed the Capitol. Talk about a performance review gone wrong. And poor Jay Obernolte in Yucca Valley, California. His town hall completely melted down into a shouting match. The video shows frustrated constituents repeatedly yelling, "Do your job" at him. Not exactly the respectful discourse Republicans were hoping for when they scheduled these events. So how did Trump respond to his minions getting verbally pummeled at these town halls? In classic Trumpian fashion, he declared on April 27, 2025 that all these angry constituents must be paid actors infiltrating the crowds. This is particularly rich coming from Trump, who has a documented history of actually paying people to attend his events. Talk about projection. And remember, these town halls required proof of residency. So unless Democrats have developed some elaborate scheme to plant fake constituents years in advance, Trump's claim falls completely flat. The situation has gotten so bad that some Republicans are just giving up on town halls entirely. Why face your voters when you can hide instead? It's the political equivalent of screening your calls when the bill collectors are after you. All of this public anger reflects what the polls are showing. Trump's approval ratings have cratered to historic lows. A CNN poll puts him at around 41% approval, while a Washington Post, ABC or Ipsos poll has him even lower at 39%. To put that in perspective, these represent the lowest approval ratings for any president in modern history. We're talking over 80 years of presidential polling. Among independents, the numbers are even more catastrophic, on only 27% to 30% approval. Those aren't just bad numbers, they're catastrophically bad. An AP NORC poll gets even more specific about the public's feeling, finding that about 4 in 10 Americans consider Trump a terrible president, with another 1 in 10 rating him as poor. Only about 3 in 10 say he's been great or good, with just under 2 in 10 calling him average. Most Americans aren't even surprised by how badly things are going. About 7 in 10 adults say Trump's second term has been exactly what they expected. When your performance meets people's rock bottom expectations, that's not exactly a victory. So the truth finally comes out. Republican representatives aren't just facing angry voters, they're literally running away from them. Virginia Fox admitted what we all suspected when she said, "I don't do town halls because I think it's just an opportunity for people to yell at their member of Congress." Well, duh. When your policies are making people's lives worse, of course they're gonna yell. Think about it. If you're too scared to face the very people who elected you, maybe you're doing something seriously wrong. The GOP is experiencing what happens when reality crashes their fantasy party. Next time you see a town hall announced, show up, or better yet, notice which chickens never schedule them at all.